Hello, everybody, and welcome to Crypto Weekly. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back to another episode of the show. If you can all just let me know that everything's coming through loud and clear over here in the chat, that would be really helpful, just so I can get started and know that you're hearing me all right. If you're new, the format here is that I'm going to go through some of the latest news articles that have happened in the last week, some of the things that caught my attention, and then the second half is going to be dedicated just completely to your questions. If you want to ask a question, all you have to do is jump on over to slido.com and put in the hashtag crypto. There's a link in the description of this stream as well if you want to do that. And your questions will pop up down here. You can vote on other people's questions as well. And I'll dedicate the second half of this stream to that. Before we get started, if you like these videos, smash like, smash subscribe so you get notified when these videos are happening so you don't have to look out on my Twitter. And if you want to go the extra mile, jump over to patreon.com/Jackson, that's UMM Jackson, and you can become a supporter and get access to all sorts of things. We're in a new month now. Happy July, everybody. And that means we'll be doing a monthly hangout with my $10 tier patrons. I also opened up a Discord channel for the $5 tier, which is really cool. It's a whole Discord server where we're all having some pretty cool chats. So big ups to all my patrons. I really appreciate that. Okay, but let's get started. The first big piece of news that kind of caught my eye this week, and if you follow me on Twitter, you will have noticed that I commented on this, is Zcash. So Zcash had a big conference called, I think it was ZCon, and one of the things that happened during that conference is that Zuko, who's one of the creators or co-founders of Zcash, was very open and transparent about how much money the project is making him. And also the rest of the company as well. And, I applaud that transparency. I think it's sorely lacking in the crypto space. So it's, good on Zuko for doing that. But one thing that came out is that as part of the founder's reward, and for people that are unaware, Zcash is a little different to Bitcoin. In Bitcoin, the block reward goes 100% to the miner who found that block, right? In Zcash, I believe it's 20% of the Zcash generated in that block actually goes to the creators of Zcash. It's called a founder's reward. It's kind of like a tax, but they do it for the first 4 years in order to basically fund the development of the project, which I think is a little weird because they also took some equity investment, I believe, but let's not focus on that. Anyway, out of this 20%, it would seem that Zuko is receiving around 2,033 Zcash tokens every month. Which, if at current rates is a lot of money. It's $300,000. So it came out that Zuko is actually every year from Zcash at its current price making around $4 million a year annual salary. Not too shabby for having created a cryptocurrency. CoinDesk ran an article that was basically quoting my tweet saying, hey, I think I did this whole creating a cryptocurrency thing wrong. $4 million a year doesn't sound bad. I made a big fat zero. But what do people think about this? Let me know in the comments. I'm really excited or interested to kind of get your feedback. It's one of these things that's divided the community a little, and I had a lot of people up in my mentions saying, leave Zuko alone. This poor guy deserves all this money. And I think that's fair. I think it's fair that people that create innovative technologies that kind of give back to society and actually benefit society in some way get paid for it, right? People should get paid for their work. It's really the scale of pay which I think I take issue with. $300,000 a month, nobody really needs that. And the other thing is there's a lot of other people that helped create Zcash. There's a lot of other people who work on Zcash every day, do active development, create wallets, do all of that kind of stuff. They're not getting paid $300K a month. And so I'd be a little bit, more okay with this if the founder's reward was evenly split across all the people that are contributing to the cryptocurrency. I think this is one of the things with decentralization is I think it sets a bad precedent. If one person is getting $4 million a year and a huge amount more than anybody else working on the project, that's a point of centralization from where I stand. But what do you think? Like I said, drop it in the comments. I think it's a good conversation to have. I think it's good that there's transparency there, but I think, ultimately, as the price increased of Zcash, why didn't they just adjust his reward so that it was, a good salary of like an average CEO or something? But he's earning more right now than a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs, so that's something to think about. But let's go on to the next news item. So I see some people asking questions. Make sure you jump over to Slido. It's slido.com and then just enter in #crypto. If you do want to just click a link, go to the description. You can click a link. Put your questions there. I can't get to the questions in the chat because by the time I get to the second half, they'll all have scrolled away, right? So just make sure you put them in Slido. Vote up the ones that you want me to talk about, and I will get to them. Next up, and this is something that I think a lot of people have asked questions about, is Satoshi back? Oh my gosh, I feel like this happens every like 6 to 12 months. Is this guy must be Satoshi? And so there's something that's come out in the last couple of days called I think it's a website called the Nakamoto Family Foundation.org. Great website domain, guys. But basically they posted a 21 page, of course they did 21, kind of not manifesto, but excerpt, they're saying, from a book that Satoshi Nakamoto, or who they're saying is Satoshi Nakamoto, is going to release. And, I read a little bit of this stuff. It reads like fan fiction. Like, this stuff is really the 50 Shades of Grey of Bitcoin. And it's somebody who obviously has a infatuation or an obsession with cryptocurrency, which a lot of us do, but they've taken it to the next level and are writing fan fiction from the perspective of Satoshi. I think the whole thing's obviously a scam. It's another kind of Craig Wright situation, except this is going to a next level. Like, some of the stuff in this kind of excerpt, there's spelling mistakes. There's some just really weird assertions. It looks like it was written in Microsoft Word. The website doesn't even have HTTPS enabled. Of course, Satoshi would do that. And they even left this weird puzzle, a cryptogram puzzle for people to solve. It's over the top ridiculous. If anybody's wondering what my opinion is, these are people that are looking to cash in on this in some way. You watch. I bet they'll do an ICO or a donation drive, or maybe they'll just sell a book. You can make a lot of money selling books. So, and some suckers will buy it. So, avoid. It's an interesting read if you're interested in reading some lunatic's kind of take on what the creator of Bitcoin might have done. But a lot of people have said this, and if Satoshi ever does decide to return, I'm of the opinion that Satoshi might sadly be no longer with us in the living world. But if Satoshi ever does return, I think that we can all be pretty clear that he or she or they will sign their message with a private key that is very verifiably and provably them. And this thing hasn't done that. So ignore anything else. But yeah, what do people think? Everybody getting a little excitement out of this? I guess Westworld's over now, so we need something else to watch, right? The next thing I want to talk about, and this is the last piece of news for the week, is Facebook. Facebook have actually lifted their ban on all cryptocurrency. They kind of slammed down the hammer, when a lot of companies did, including Google and Twitter, I think it was early in the year, basically banning all cryptocurrency ads. And I think part of this was very reactionary and almost necessary because ICO hype was at its peak. It was that period where it's like you'd log into every service, like Instagram, you'd have that creepy dude with his face, like Bitcoin genius, and you'd have, buy this guy's advice, or buy these sales tips, or buy this ICO. It was completely ridiculous. Andy in the comments, watch Westworld. It's great. The last season was kind of like a little wacky bit. It's great. But anyway, yeah. So Facebook banned all crypto ads. They're just like ban hammer, like we are not letting crypto on our platform. But now they've kind of like walked that back a little bit, and they said, you know what? If you're a cryptocurrency company that's adding operating services like the Coinbases of the world, then sure, you can advertise because you're just a regular business. You're not trying to sell an ICO, which might be an illegal security or something like that. It's not an investment opportunity, right? Which shouldn't be sold on Facebook or advertised on Facebook. So they're winding that back a little bit. I think it makes sense. They're going to have a vetting program where people have to apply and then you can get vetted and you can then put ads on, which is good. It's good. I actually recently deleted my Facebook. And I have a little one now that's just used for family only, but I'm trying to pull myself away from using that service just based on the data leaks that's happened in the past year and the way that, I don't like my data being used that way. But what do people think? A Facebook ad's still annoying. Do you just want to see no ads at all? I use an ad blocker anyway, so I was kind of immune to it. But yeah. So those are the news items for the week. If there are any others, make sure you drop them in the questions so that I can get to them. I'm going to jump in right now, but before I do, I'm just going to repeat, if you like this, hit subscribe. You'll get notified. It's a little weird. I hope the notifications are working, but hit subscribe and that bell icon. If you don't hit the bell icon, then you're not going to get the notifications that say, hey, Jackson's live. And if you want to get notified by me personally, just jump over to patreon.com/Jackson. And if you sign up for the $5 tier, you'll get the Discord channel. And I just pinged everybody saying, hey, I'm going to start in like less than an hour. So if you want a heads up, that's another way to do it. Also, hit like if I'm going through the stuff that you like. So let's jump on to the questions. So the top questions for today, some good ones coming through. So Anonymous asks, what do you think about Cardano? Wow, 31 upvotes on that. I wonder if that's a lot of votes. Cardano, yeah, I've touched on Cardano very lightly in the past. And they're doing some really interesting stuff. This is the team IOHK that are also involved with Ethereum Classic. And, there's some smart people on that team. I think Cardano is taking a very academic approach. They're kind of taking their time rather than rushing into anything. The problem with Cardano is right now, it's running purely on a centralized infrastructure that's controlled by the company that is building Cardano. And because of that, I haven't really gone to the depths of research or the depths of critiquing it that I would of something that's fully released. Like right now, it's very much in an early stage. And so I'm kind of holding off on commenting on it because right now, if you go over to the block, there's a block explorer for Cardano. So one, completely centralized, but two, it's like processing maybe one transaction or a few transactions every hour. Hardly anybody's using their mainnet, and that's fine because it's still in the test phases. But when it comes out and it's fully decentralized, it's using their Ouroboros or whatever it's called, consensus algorithm. Then I'm going to totally jump in and kind of take a look at that. I'm seeing some people complaining that they might have not gotten notifications or there was no notification. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened there. I said make sure you notify people, but YouTube's been really weird lately in kind of switching out they're doing really recommendations on people's feeds. People get random stuff. They don't see my videos. So if you do want to help out, make sure you hit subscribe, obviously, so you get notified, but hit the like button as well, because I think that somehow influences their algorithm and will push the stuff up so people actually see it and get into the stream. But we've got some good questions, so let's keep going. So Chemo, undervalued coins that you would buy during this bear market. Well, I don't give investment advice, and I'm very clear about that. And I'm not advising anybody to buy any crypto because, as we've seen recently, that can be it's akin to a gamble. Things right now that I'm interested in are actually things that you can't buy, and I've talked about this a few times in the past. My favorite being Mimblewimble implementations, notably Grin, which is fully open source. You can check it out at grin-tech.org. I think that's right. If I'm getting it wrong, people correct me in the comments, please. But implementation of Mimblewimble, really cool what they're doing with Cuckoo Cycle proof of work. Really cool what they're doing with the confidential transactions, everything. It's very cool stuff. Go and check that out. I also have a video on it if you want to check that out. But it's funny. Most of the things that I'm actually really interested in right now are things you can't buy. Another thing that I'm doing a lot of research in, two things. First is Algorand, and I don't think you can buy that. I don't know, but it's more a consensus. It's actually a way of doing provable randomness or entropy. That's cool. The other thing is Avalanche. It's a consensus algorithm that is apparently by anonymous people, but it's probably Emin Gansira. It's really cool. I'm doing a lot of research into that as well. So those are the things: Algorand, Avalanche, and Mimblewimble. Or Grin is the implementation of Mimblewimble. So that's that. But yeah, this is not financial advice, legal advice, any advice like that. And I don't think you can buy them anyway. So Technology. It's all about the technology. Go and check the Git repos. If they don't have a Git repo, honestly, I'm pretty skeptical of people. What do you think, asks Mike, about HGT? Incredibly low market cap. It is led by the former CFO of the World Gold Council. Airdropping gold every month. Okay. I don't really like airdrops. I think it's a really cheesy, weird like marketing tactic to like drop tokens on people. I'm not a huge fan of it. HGT is something to do with gold. It's like a gold foundation, I want to say. Yes. Basically, they're doing like backed in gold kind of tokens and stuff, which, you know, I don't know. Why wouldn't people just go and buy gold through the many other mechanisms? I believe that they're trying to push the whole marketing thing that's like, we're for the unbanked. But, you know, yes, you probably need either a bank or physical cash to buy gold in the real world. But getting into tokens isn't... like, I actually challenge, how many people are using crypto exchanges that don't have a bank account? I do not believe that is the majority. I think it's a very small minority of crypto users. So I don't really buy that whole unbanked thing so much. But I don't know, gold is gold. You can buy gold many other ways. I don't really see why it needs a token. But yeah. Anonymous asks, do you think that any other platform, can beat Ethereum? If so, which one? Definitely not EOS, right? I think a lot of people have seen some stuff happen in the past few weeks with EOS. Apparently they're scrapping their constitution because, of course, why not? Beating Ethereum, I don't know why another platform has to beat Ethereum. I think Ethereum have been very open about their roadmap. I think Ethereum are planning to try and, planning to try and fix some of the scaling issues, planning to add privacy in some ways. Planning to try and do stuff with Plasma, for off-chain stuff. I think it'll be more a case of can Ethereum improve fast enough? And the thing that'll probably beat it will be a fork of Ethereum, I would imagine. Maybe watch out, maybe it's Ethereum Classic. I don't know, but probably not. But I think basically who can evolve Ethereum as fast as possible, and the reason I say that is just the tooling. The tooling is better, right, for Ethereum. There's more tooling out there. EOS doesn't even have like a first-party graphical user interface for their wallet. Like the tooling for EOS is like a shambles. And so I think with Ethereum, it's got a little bit more lead way. For people to say, okay, there's a good suite of development tools. Still way underdeveloped. There needs to be more development tools and easy ways to develop stuff. But things like Truffle and things like that are used to write smart contracts, a lot more mature in Ethereum. So I see, honestly, Ethereum just evolving, or a fork of Ethereum evolving. So yeah, it makes sense. Somebody just say, with HGT, you can buy $3 worth of gold. With fiat, you cannot. Why do you want $3 of gold? I don't. But yeah, I get it. But Anonymous asks, hello, Jackson. How's it going? Can we talk about Satoshi's book On Tadame, or Tadame, reported by Bloomberg? Oh, okay. No, it's fake. Totally fake. Only believe stuff if it's it's signed with a verifiable key that belongs to Satoshi. Simple, plain and simple. Don't trust, verify. That's the saying, right? Andre asks, what do you think of Brave Browser adding a privacy tab featuring the Tor protocol? Yeah, this is an interesting one. So Brave Browser are the people that famously did that like basic attention token thing that I guess is a little bit of a failure. I'm not sure how many people are using it. I signed up for it, but like I get no bat from it or whatever. It's for my YouTube channel. It's kind of pointless. Tor, interesting. So they've always been like kind of a privacy thing with the ad block built in, I believe, and things like that. Tor is a thing. Tor is a thing that people believe gives them privacy. The problem with Tor is that it's actually not like a hugely decentralized network. If you look at the topology of exit nodes and you look at the system, I have this. Basically, this is the case. This is the situation where I say go and do your own research, right? Because I have this argument with people a lot around VPNs versus Tor versus whatever, right? And the thing with Tor is a lot of people don't understand that Tor was actually created by the NSA, right? And I don't want to put a tinfoil hat on here right now, but I just want to state facts. Tor is created by the NSA in order for government agencies or government agents to basically anonymize their browsing traffic. A lot of funding came from the government as well. And one of the things that happens when you create a network for anonymous browsing of federal agents is that it doesn't work if everybody that's using the thing is a federal agent, because you can say, oh, they're all federal agents, all of them, right? And that's the whole thing with Tor. It's like mixing your browsing, your routing basically, to anonymize you. So what they did was they released it to the public, and it got a lot of regular users, like you and me, kind of spinning up Tor and then using it and being able to bounce around. So, it was federal agents, but, there was a much larger crowd that kind of helped make the federal agents not stick out so much. Anyway, what I'm basically trying to say is do your own research on Tor. I don't personally use Tor because I have some suspicions that the exit nodes can be easily compromised. They may be compromised, and I just do not... I feel like using Tor can potentially draw more attention to you than you would like if you just don't use Tor. And the other thing is like what are you doing that's so shady online, right? Like simply firing up Bitcoin QT and sending stuff. You don't need Tor for that. So that's where I stand. Good question, though. Good question. Anonymous asks, what do you think of ADA and ETC's relationship? Is the announcement of ADA's new wallet good progress for the time we had this year? I don't know about the new wallet, so can't comment on that. But like I said, they're both by the same company, basically. It is a little bit of a weird relationship. I'll have to look that up and maybe ask it again next week, and I'll get back to it. Serv asks, what is your review on Deep Brain Chain? Oh yeah, they're like there's like a million different coins and projects that are doing AI on the blockchain. I was on a panel like a few months ago talking about this AI more kind of holistically, and I think that AI and blockchain are two things that are working in parallel that are both highly undeveloped, and I think we're at a point where it's far too early to conflate the two and mix them, right? Because you're basically mixing one non-mature technology with another non-mature technology, and it becomes a total mess. So I don't really see the value of decentralizing that. Surely not decentralizing the processing power. I think it makes sense to have some of the stuff that is happening with Google and Amazon and Nvidia in their GPUs for AI. It's going to be more effective in a centralized way. What could happen with decentralization and blockchain maybe for AI is the data that the models are trained on. That might be interesting if you have a decentralized market for that. But the jury's still out. I haven't seen a working prototype or anybody that's actually doing that, if there's enough demand for that. But one of the biggest problems with training machine learning models is diversity of data, and so it would be really good to train up that diversity of data. There's several known kind of instances of this where if you train a model on somebody, the interactions of somebody who's a jerk, then the model, the AI is going to act like a jerk as well. Or if you train a model, there's this very famous thing where there was like a soap dispenser, and it was trained on the employees that made it, right? So it had AI machine learning model to detect like the movement of a person in front of it, so it's dispense soap. And unfortunately, the whole team were white, and so anybody that was brown, black, or any other race wasn't being picked up and couldn't get soap, right? These are big problems in using AI. Is the training data is so crucial, and so maybe blockchain, maybe decentralization can help in providing a more diverse set of data, so that we don't get into a point where the AI is only working well for people who trained it on them, if that makes sense. So that's my thinking there, but I don't think Deep Brain Chain does that. If it does, let me know. Oh, another good question from you, Sorav. What is your review on Pundi X? I keep getting this question like all the time, and I was like, okay, I gotta go and read about what Pundi X is. By the way, terrible name. Yeah, so it's basically a point of sale system where you get a little card and you can go up to a cash register or whatever, and you can pay for your stuff with crypto, but you can also buy crypto. So you can say, hey, I want to spend this money and buy like a Bitcoin, right? For some reason, if you want to do that. So it's kind of like a Bitcoin ATM mixed with POS. Now their hardware looks pretty decent. It's kind of like a little Android based, as far as I can tell, point of sale system, like a little like you get the Visa kind of things, right? With a touch screen on it. Looks pretty decent. The UI looks pretty decent. The problem I have with them is, why do they need a token? You don't need a token to do great hardware, or even great software, right? I think it's a bit of a cash grab on the token side. They should have focused just on cryptocurrency. And honestly, my opinion on it is that it's probably going to get killed by Square. Square, as you all know, have Square Cash, which recently integrated Bitcoin, so you could purchase and trade Bitcoin on the Square app. And for those that are unaware, one of the big things that Square does, it's not just about the Cash App, it's big in point of sale. So at least here in San Francisco and many other places in the US, you'll go to a cash register at a coffee place, and they'll have a Square register. Square actually started producing their own hardware. Right? They used to use iPads, but then they switched to using this new hardware that they're actually building and designing themselves. And so it makes sense to me that this big company, Square, who have a founder who is like really into crypto and pushed it into the Cash App, would potentially integrate crypto payments into that hardware register that they're putting everywhere, in America at least. So I think that's a problem. Like, Square is a very big competitor, already got a lead on cryptocurrency, already got better hardware, I would say, than Pundi X. So yeah, not really sure. And then, like, what's the point of the token? Token sounds useless. What do I think about Nucleus Vision? Asked Anonymous. I have no idea what that is. I'll try and look into it, and then you can ask again next week. What is your view on integrating genomics into the blockchain? Oh my gosh. Get into some Gattaca stuff. If you haven't watched Gattaca, there's your job for the weekend. Great movie that was actually really scientifically accurate, and very relevant with a lot of the CRISPR stuff that's happening on now. Genomics is, and you know, DNA stuff is like crazy, and it's evolving at a rate that is like it's faster than anyone could have anticipated. There's a really good like 20-minute documentary you should watch if you have Netflix. It's called Explained. There was a crypto episode that I was on, but they also did an episode on designer babies, right? And they talked about CRISPR. And great episode, go and watch it. But in a nutshell, this CRISPR technology, a lot of people are probably familiar with it, lets you to edit genes. But there's all sorts of ethical issues, right, that go along with that. But we're getting to a point where in like 3 to 5 years, we might have a kit that you literally take home, and you can edit your genes and inject yourself and change your whole body. Like, the technology is going really fast. Anyway, putting that on a blockchain, I don't really see the point. I don't like the idea of people being genetically kind of represented on an immutable data store and tracked in that way. That freaks me out. Like, I'd be freaked out enough if the government had a full kind of breakdown of my DNA or sequence DNA, which, you know, who knows, they probably do, because, you know, I've done 23andMe or whatever. But like, I think that's scary, and putting it on a blockchain is a dangerous thing. I don't understand why. I think that, like, my kind of take on all this stuff with you know, personal data, DNA being personal data. It's crazy that isn't it crazy that we're like in a year and a time where we're sitting around and personal data isn't just your email address and first name. We're literally talking about sequenced DNA right now. Like, whoa, we live in the future. But I think with a lot of that stuff, it all comes down to personal sovereignty. The movie is Gattaca, Gattaca. It's go and look it up. Great movie. So yeah, it's all about sovereignty. Like, I should have that data. Sure, I might want to walk around with it on a very secure device, where it's fully encrypted and only I can access it. But I don't want that on a blockchain. My gosh, no way. And I think we're going to see like a pullback from all your data being tracked everywhere, to being on, it's A, not I. It's made up with the letters in DNA sequencing. Very smart. Anyway, yeah, I think we're going to see a pullback to where people want to have their data very much in control on their own devices and limit their data exposure rather than being everywhere, right? It's scary. This Facebook stuff scared everybody, and it was a good wake-up call. I hope that answered your question. I'm going to close this out in about 5 minutes, so I'm going to try and get through as many questions as I can. Again, if you like this, hit the like button. It'll help people actually get notifications, because YouTube seems to be screwing around with me. And make sure you hit subscribe and the bell icon if you haven't already, so you do get those notifications. A asked, hello again, Jackson. What is subjectively and objectively of the balance between high and low level programming related to crypto dev and designer, I guess, adoption in crypto? I don't really know what that means, but there's too many developers, in my opinion, in crypto right now. And I know that's like, what? Why is he saying there's too many developers? I think that there's too many developers, I should say, trying to do their own thing, right? And create their own cryptocurrency. I think that what will happen is a consolidation. Like, there doesn't need to be 1,500 or 2,000 crypto coins, right? There needs to be fewer, but there needs to be great, strong teams of good developers building behind good leadership as well. I think good leadership is, good, honest leadership is what is lacking in cryptocurrency right now. People are just out to make a quick buck. Designers, I think it's very hard to get designers into the space because they can get paid so much working for bigger companies. Blockchain companies are sadly quite stingy, that I've observed anyway, in paying designers a good enough wage. And I think to a designer, like, crypto also comes off as like, ooh, like, it's a little bit too technical. It's a little bit, there's all that like negative kind of connotation of drugs and all that stuff as well. So it needs to be made to look friendlier. But yeah, I think we'll get there. I think it's just going to take time. And also, there's just so many scam projects. Like, as anybody that's not a developer right now that's trying to get into crypto, you look at it and you're like, whoa, this is like a cesspit of scams. Why would I ever, peg my career to that? I think that's a big concern as well. Anonymous asks, do you think Binance is still the most promising exchange with a currency out there? I never thought it was the most promising exchange. I think Binance is kind of weird and wacky, and I don't know. I don't want to comment on their regulatory stuff, but yeah, they cashed in on a hype cycle of cryptocurrency. I know they have their own token and stuff. I don't like the exchanges that do their own token. I think it's really useless and kind of scammy and multi-level marketing. Not a fan. I don't use Binance, never have. Anonymous asks, review on Nano Ryblocks. I have a whole video on that. So just go into my YouTube history, Crypto Explained, scroll back a little bit. There's a whole video on Nano. Go check it out. I had several concerns with it. Cool tech, but several concerns. Is AGI SingularityNet better than Deep Brain Chain? No. If you haven't watched Silicon Valley, the TV show, in the latest season, they actually do a parody of SingularityNet and that creepy-ass Sophia robot, which is, frankly, that Sophia robot that they parade around is really just like a Facebook Messenger bot, like, hooked up to a mannequin. Like, it's not... no. I think there's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of style, not a lot of substance, sadly, with SingularityNet. Jackson, can you summarize what happened at Johan asks, Jackson, can you summarize what happened at Dogecoin, the Dogecoin conference? What is the status of Dogecoin's development? Where is Doge heading? Yeah, I think this is something that there was some confusion about. Dogecoin, which happened in Vancouver last week and I spoke about, wasn't really focused on Dogecoin. I think it was a lot of Dogecoin fans and a lot of actually people who are fans of the meme and not necessarily the coin, which I guess is a thing. Makes sense. Like, the meme existed before the coin. Yeah, I think that there wasn't a lot of sessions around Dogecoin development. The current developers actually weren't there. And so the status of Dogecoin development, I believe they have like a beta out of the latest build. There are people working on it, but it's not their full-time jobs. They're working on it as a hobby. That's the status of it. But if you want more updates, I think they're on Reddit. They post updates and stuff. Talk to Langer Hands or Ross Nickel. Ads Davs, how's it going, dude? What are your thoughts on the Cuckoo Cycle proof of work algo? Will proof of work mining always end up with big players? Yeah, I think it will. I think Cuckoo Cycle slows it down potentially, but there's already somebody that's working on like a pool implementation for a Cuckoo Cycle. So there's going to be a consolidation. There's going to be big people with more money will always be able to get there. So yes, sadly, but it's a little bit better, right? Little improvements. Two more questions and then I'm going to end it for the day. Anonymous asks, do you think coins like Neo, EOS, and others will eventually pass ETH? If you're talking in value, who knows, because the markets are nuts, but I don't make market predictions. Technology-wise, both of those technologies are more centralized and, in my opinion, inferior to something like Ethereum. And Jiro asks, do you think that the banks will use crypto in some way eventually? Could you share your thoughts? Yeah, there's been a lot of attempts kind of to try and get banks to use them. I mean, there's been the R3s of the world. There's been the Ripples, right? Ripple is trying to do this. Get banks to use, and financial institutions to use crypto. Maybe. I don't think they need a token, right? Banks are really in the business of working with fiat currencies because of relationships with governments and regulations and all of that. Could they use crypto as a faster rail for that digital money, digital USD to move along? Maybe. But maybe there's other stuff that isn't crypto. Like, it really depends on the challenges that they're facing right now from a scaling situation. Inserting blockchain probably doesn't help the SWIFT system or Visa or MasterCard really scale. So I think that's the challenge with that stuff. Maybe, and I think all of them have research teams who are looking into it. So there might be little, smatterings of use within these big companies and banks. But is it their primary focus? I don't think it ever will be. I think they'll use the best technology for the job, right? And right now, blockchain probably isn't. One day it might be. So that's that. I hope everybody got the questions answered. I can't get to everything, unfortunately, in the time. But if you didn't get your question answered, make sure you come back next week, and I'll definitely get to it. You want to get those upvotes going. So if you like this video, smash like below, smash subscribe, so you get notified. I'm sorry to the people that didn't get notified. If you want to go the extra mile, jump on over to patreon.com/Jackson, where you can become a patron and get access to all sorts of exclusive perks, early access to videos, hangouts. There's a Discord chat. It's a really cool little community we have going over there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned a little bit today, or you got your questions answered. Until next time, have a great rest of the weekend, and I'll see you later.